host, Josh, and this episode is brought to you by Great Lakes Discs. Whether you're looking for cool new gear or your new favorite discs, Great Lakes Discs has what you need. Click the link in the Linktree link, and you will see the Great Lakes Discs link. Click that and start your shopping today. While you're on the Disc Seeker podcast Linktree, you'll also see a link for Idio Sports. If you want to take your game to the next level, make sure you get Idio shoes on your feet. The only disc golf shoes made by disc golfers for disc golfers. Also use my discount code DiscSeeker to save money on your next order. Without further ado, it's my great honor to have this guest on. I'll let him fully introduce himself, where he's from, and where his disc golf journey even begins.
You want me to introduce me? I'm going to just talk about how handsome I am. So if you don't give me a live mic and ask me to talk about me. No, what specifically do you want to know? I'm happy to share anything.
Yeah, introduce yourself and where you're from, and let's get into where disc golf actually started for you.
All right, I will give you the 50-cent version. I've been playing for over 50 years, so it's hard to condense it. My name is Scott Stokley. I played my first ever round of Frisbee golf on the world's first permanent Frisbee golf course when it was the only course in the entire world. So when I started, there was one course, and that was 1976 when I was 7 years old. Wow. And I grew up in the sport. I watched the sport grow up around me. I toured for off and on for 8 years in the 90s before there was a tour. There were a few people before me, but not many. That was an entire journey. If you won a tournament and made enough money to pay for both bread and bologna, you felt like a rock star. But then I took 13 years off of the sport in 2001, and then I came back and started a whole new journey as a grown-up.
What caused you to take a pause?
My kid was born. Was the biggest thing. There wasn't a lot of money in the sport back then. That's not necessarily true. I was actually doing pretty well. I was the first player to really actually start making good money. I bought a condo. I made it, but that only worked when I was out there on the road. And when my kid was born, her mom and I had split up, but a wonderful lady, still talk to her to this day, great relationship. But we didn't work, so I couldn't be on the road while my kid was growing up back in Colorado. So I pulled the plug on disc golf for 13 years so I could be around.
That's dedication right there. So during that time that you stepped away from touring, did you still play casually, or were you just completely done?
No, when I was done, I was 100% completely done. I'm competitive. And for me, and this has been my entire life, I truly don't care if I win or lose. But if I'm competing, I have to be competing to win. It doesn't work to just go out there and play. So when I was dedicating my life to raising my kid, I was starting businesses because I was trying to build a life for myself. I would have been a part-time player, and I can't do that. It's all or nothing. So when I stopped playing, I was done. So for 13 years, aside from one tournament in the middle, my friend talked me into playing. Aside from that, I didn't touch disc.
Wow. So what drew you back, and how did you get back into it?
So I was gone for 13 years. I did great for 11-ish, 12 years. My business was good. Everything was successful. I think I was a very good dad for many, many years. But towards the end, I was creating the internet businesses. I was there for the early days of the internet, where everything you did made money. It was super easy to you just come up with an idea no one's done before, and you put up a payment link, and people just get out their credit cards. It was really fun. But that kind of changed by 2012, 13. Things got difficult. Business started failing. Kind of went through a divorce-ish. Ended up deciding that I came to the conclusion that substance abuse would be a good solution to my financial woes. Turns out the actual opposite happened. It actually just accelerated the decline. It wasn't for a very long period in my life, but it was during that period. It was very dark. It got very serious, and so I came back to the sport because that was how I was returning to the real world, where I could be in a community of people that supported me and my friends, and where I had a name and I had, people watching me, holding me accountable. It's a very long story. It would take an entire show just to go into that story. But basically, I came back because I needed disc golf to save my life and to build my identity and find myself again. And so I've never looked back.
That's pretty cool that disc golf saved your life. I've been hearing a lot of stories of people like reaching out to me and chit chatting with me, and a lot of people are saying that disc golf saved them from alcohol and drugs. And like, wow, disc golf it really does change people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give you the another 50s. I'll give you about $4. I'll give you a bunch of 50-cent versions. But the short of it is, because of what I was doing and what was happening in my life and my business and divorce and just everything, I felt like pretty worthless as a person. Now, I had been gone for 13 years and I didn't really see a whole lot of value in me. And through a series of circumstances, I kind of popped back into disc golf a little bit, and immediately I got recognition and accolades and signing autographs and people that remember me from the old days, and people tell me I was their hero. And I was like, what the hell? Like I'm this guy who's struggling with life, and you're telling me that I'm your hero? Like, for throwing frisbees was crazy, except it wasn't one or two people, it was a lot of people. And basically I concluded that I needed to get the things that I got out of disc golf. I needed to be told I was worthy and that people looked up to me and that I had value. I needed to get that. And I know you're supposed to get it internally. I know as the dad, you're supposed to just know how to do that, but I'm human and I struggled with it. When I went back to this community where I was somebody again, that's what really propped me up. And like I've never looked back. I mean, I got a lot of people watching me now. I can't fail ever again. Like, the world's watching.
Yeah, that's really cool. So when you came back, was the tour starting to pop off like what we know of it as today, or was it still kind of not much of anything yet?
So no, it was definitely had grown. But basically, before COVID and before the Pro Tour came out, it was growing at that same, like 12 to 15% a year. It had been since 1976. So it had certainly grown. I mean, the play had improved, the purses were bigger. I mean, it was, the sport was going places. It just hadn't hit that acceleration that happened with, a combination of things. I mean, I think Jomez doesn't get as much credit. Well, some people give them the credit. I think they deserve a lot of credit because they brought disc golf to the masses, and then the disc golf pro tour, and then the pandemic. Luck of the draw for us, we happened to have one of those activities that you could do, like in that environment. I mean, if our sport had been bowling, we're screwed. It just happened that our sport was, like I said, luck of the draw. So it was a confluence of events that brought it all together. But that was after I came back. I got to watch the explosion, which was pretty incredible.
That is really cool. Yeah, I'm a kind of post-COVID player, so I never got to see anything before COVID. Like, I didn't even know disc golf existed.
Wait, what city were you in?
Buffalo, New York.
Okay, so first off, I'm actually from Buffalo. Not me. I was adopted in California, but my mom and dad escaped Buffalo. I'm going to decline this call. My mom and dad escaped Buffalo in the 60s to come out to California, palm trees and movie stars. And my family's from Buffalo. But no, there was disc golf in Buffalo back then in Lewiston. Is it Lewiston or Louisville? It's Lewiston, right?
Lewiston, yes.
Lewiston. There's a course in Lewiston I played a tournament at in 1993.
Oh, wow.
The Can-Am finals. So before there was, if you want to talk history, I can. Yeah, I literally wrote the book. there was no organized tour. The PDGA had been around since 1975, mostly a volunteer organization with one paid admin. There was no real organization of events. It didn't have the means. There wasn't the money, and you can't expect volunteers to, do this full time, which meant that there were big tournaments on, the same weekend on opposite parts of the country. There was nothing that resembled a tour. So a few different places came up with the idea of running an 8 to 10 tournament series in their region and set them geographically, like 1 week apart, and set them, close together. The idea being is that somebody could get into the car and do like a 10-week series. That happened in Northern California, it happened in the Mid-Atlantic region, and it happened in Northern California. But the first one was in the Can-Am series up in the Great Lakes region. And when I say first one, Circular Skies over Texas might have actually been first. I could be wrong about that. But the big one was the Can-Am series. And the first year I was on tour in 1993, the Can-Am final was in Lewiston, New York, at a course. I forget the name of the course.
Davis.
It's a guy's name, Joseph Davis. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, we still play that course. That's
Yeah.
that's our Sunday Fun Day kind of like home course there. And then our Point Series finale this year will be Western New York Point Series finale is going to be at that course.
It was a classic place. I got to see one of the most amazing things I've ever seen at a disc golf tournament. So I wrote my autobiography. I'll go grab it in a minute. I'll show everybody. Scott Stokley, Growing Up Disc Golf, available at Audible and at Amazon, the audiobooks at Audible. But I told the story in the book. One of the things that happened at the 1993 Can-Am series. So back then, they were just starting to introduce amateur divisions. So there was an AM1. Well, first off, there was an amateur division. So there was pros and amateurs. That's it. For men. And then they opened up a second one, AM2. So now amateur divisions were broken into two, pretty broad categories. But AM2 was really for people who it's their first tournament. They heard about disc golf, didn't know the rules, and then you moved up to AM1. But AM2 were just absolute flat out first week beginners. At the Can-Am finals, a player came out in his first 5 holes of his career, of his life, 2 aces.
Oh my gosh.
At that tournament, he aced 2 of the first 5 holes. And he was in the AM2, the beginner division. He was such an actual amateur, he did not even win his division. He didn't even win the beginner division. He aced 2 of the first 5 holes. Now, here's the wildest thing. I had told this story on podcasts. I wrote about it in my book in 2000, and I think it was like 16 or something. But decades later, I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan at the Amateur World Championships, caddying for a friend. Some guy comes up to me, goes, just want to let you know, I'm the guy at Joseph Davis that got 2 aces. So not only is he still playing, still an amateur 20 years later.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild to have that come full. And there's a bunch of stories that like there are early stories that have come full circle 30 years later. It's pretty weird. I guess when your whole life is in one place, maybe it's not that weird, but it's still fun.
Yeah. So how did you finish out at that tournament? How did you do?
Oh, at the Can-Am finals?
Yeah,
I won. Well, I finished second place at that tournament, but I won the Can-Am series. The big thing back then was to win the Can-Am series. So I think I won, like four of the events or something in the Can-Am series. Jeff Moulton, I think he won 5, but he had a couple thirds, and I didn't finish worse than second or something. I don't know. It was me and him. It was very close. Greg Pinniger was a third player who was in the mix as well, but it was Jeff Moulton and I. But I won the series, but he won the tournament.
Yeah. So when you came back into the sport, was like Paul Macbeth, like was he working his way up into the pro rankings?
No, he was already Paul Macbeth. He was already like, holy crap, this guy's incredible. Heard about McBeast mode. Heard about what a just epic player he was. I mean, he was dominating. Ricky was very close for a while, but it was a clear 1-2 at that point. By the way, quick funny aside about Ricky, as a 2-time world champion, when you're talking about, I guess you don't put him in the GOAT discussion because it's only 2 world titles. Ricky was either number one or number two in the world from Paul Macbeth all the way through Gannon Burr.
Yeah, he's
He's
still.
still probably the number two player in the world now. So we're talking about a guy that has been number one in the world, but when he's dropped as far as two.
Yeah,
Pretty wild.
yeah. It's
I don't think he gets the credit. Like, he should always be in the discussion, even though it's Ken or Paul. Obviously, it's who you would choose. But I think you should never have that discussion without Ricky's name.
yeah, because Ricky's always there, and he's
Yeah.
still always
He's
pushing
not
Gannon
slowing
to the
down.
limit.
He's not slowing down. He could win worlds the next 3 years. Like, and no one's going to be like, I can't believe it. Like, he's still one of the 2 or 3, whatever, best players in the world.
Yeah. So when did the passing of the torch, so to speak, happen between like yours and Ken Climo's generation of dominating to like what we're seeing now with Paul and everybody?
I was gone for 13 years. So I know that after the 2000, Barry Schultz had a little run, kind of like a Ricky type of run of a few years. And then, but that was in the mid 2000s. And then it was 10 years-ish later that it was Paul. So a lot happened in between there. I mean, I guess you'd call Nate Doss a transitional, number one. He won 3 out of 5 years in a stretch. So he was in the middle there. But so there wasn't really a passing between the two. There was a gap. I know there was a time gap between them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So what, like, how many times have you personally like won like championships, like when the Pro Tour really start becoming what it is?
Okay, so since the Pro Tour came out like 5 years ago, none, because I'm I'm a little bit older, right? I mean,
I still think you dominate.
Yeah. So back in the 90s, I won between 91 and 2000. I won 17 world and national titles in disc sports. I did not win the MPO world singles title, the one dominated by Ken Climo, the one that Gannon Burr won, the one that Paul was won 5 or 6 of. I never won that. I got second place a couple times, so I was close. But I won a whole bunch of world and national doubles titles. Pairs used to be a big thing back in those days. It wasn't as big as singles, but it was way bigger than it is now. Now it's a side game at Worlds and there's preserved doubles. But back then there was national pairs championships everybody went to. I won that a bunch of times. And then I also won a ton of titles in distance. World distance, US distance titles. I set all the world distance records, backhand and sidearm. I had Guinness World Record. So I got a whole bunch of accolades. I was never able to get over the Ken Climo hump in singles. I mean, me and everybody else. None of us could get past Ken during the 90s. He was on top. So, yeah. But aside from that, I won 17 total. I have 17 trophies that say world and national champion on them, and none of them are for like mini golf or anything silly. They're all like legit titles.
Yeah, that's very impressive. That's so cool. So, what out of like your whole time playing, what has been your top 5 courses that you've played?
So the greatest course in the world is Oak Grove Park in Pasadena, California. It's the world's first course. Like that's just nothing will ever be more important to me. That is hallowed ground. That's that's our, what do you want to call it? Our Fenway Park. It's our Lambeau Field. It's our it's our St. Andrews. Doesn't mean it's the best course as far as courses, but that's number one. Period for me. There's Mount Rushmore, Oak Grove Park. After that, and I'm going to dodge the question a little bit. It gets really hard because there's so many good courses. Alla Disc Golf Center in Sweden is incredible. Krokol is as good as it's made out to be. Krokol is no joke. I love the course in Vestas, Norway. I love the course in Skellefteå, Sweden, for sure. But then in the U.S., Eagles Crossing is unbelievable. Basically, there's like all the courses on the Pro Tour are amazing. Like when people complain about the courses like on the pro tour, like, oh, that's my least favorite course on the tour. Least favorite means it gets like an A minus. Like the worst course on the pro tour is so much better than anything we had in the 90s. Maple Hill, it's hard to put anything ahead of Maple Hill in the US. I mean, Maple Hill, and so none of these are a surprise. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
there's any hidden gems. A Caliber disc golf course in North Idaho is just stupidly amazing.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch.
What did you think of what was that tournament called, the Big Easy Open? What'd you think of that course? Because
Okay, so I was
a lot of people were saying
there.
it was hard.
Yeah, I was there. I was there. I was actually caddying and walking around with some of the players. I think I thought it was a really good course that needs some work. I think it's one of the challenges because I mean, well, first off, so much went into this course, and the work the course designer, of course, did a great job, but so many local people in Louisiana put so much into it, including the city and the parks department pumped a bunch of money into it. So like they've made something that's very special. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad. It's like it's incredible, but there are a few flaws. There's one big one, and that is I felt like even the ones people complained about, I disagreed. I thought the first 300 feet off every tee pad was fine. Not just fine, they were great. I thought the fairways were big enough. They were great. The problem is, and this is just geometry, the farther you get away from the tee pad, the larger area you need to have as a fair landing area where you can execute the next shot. Again, it's just geometry. It's just if there's a gap 5 feet in front of you at 50 feet, or 8 feet wide at 50 feet, whatever the number is, that same opening, the further you get from the tee pad, gets larger.
Mhm.
A lot of the landing areas 400 feet away were kind of the same size as the gap off the tee pad, which meant you could execute a perfect shot right down the middle of the fairway. You hit your line, you hit your angle, and then after the disc, it's 350 feet off the tee pad. It's in the air, flying away from you. It's going to land about 450. Perfect throw, and you're going, hope I'm not behind something. That's not good. Like there was holes where there just wasn't a reward. Best example, if you watch the coverage, is hole 18.
Mhm.
Unbelievable. I loved the first shot on 18. Thought it was perfect, and there was even a landing area. But when you hit your landing area, it was kind of like random. More than likely, there's not a window to the hole. If there was, it was kind of like ridiculously small. Um, Not too small, but you had to land like in a 4 foot wide area to hit that gap. So
Yeah.
that's the only criticism I have, is that there shouldn't be luck once you've executed your shot at that level. When Gannon Burr throws his shot and it leaves his hand, he's like perfect. It shouldn't be a coin flip as to whether or not he's behind the tree.
Yeah.
So I think they need to work on that. But that's a technical criticism. It's a beautiful piece of land, and the people of New Orleans did a hell of a job.
Yeah. From a viewer standpoint, I thought it was amazing because like you didn't know who was actually gonna win. Like no lead was safe, and like it was awesome watching the pros actually have to like scramble a lot and think outside the box of, oh, I'm
Mhm.
stuck here. Now what?
Yeah, and that would be my only complaint, is that a lot of times when they scrambled, it was after a good drive.
Yes.
That's not good. Now, some of these trees, unfortunately, I think it's the mangroves, whatever it was, the big trees that where the roots are exposed above the ground, they can't remove those.
Oh, they
They're
can't.
they're as far, don't quote me on this, but I think that they're protected.
Oh.
Now, what I would hope is that the city put a lot of money into the area to make this course. They want this to be a huge economic benefit for the city. People will travel, come to town, spend money. And if I hope that they're willing to concede a dozen trees,
Yeah.
like, and they're gorgeous trees, but there's going to be 5,000 of them out there that are still beautiful. Like you can take a dozen of them out significantly improved the course. That's it's my only criticism, actually. So
Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit ago, you mentioned Eagles Crossing. So, like I said before we went live, my first time I've ever seen you play or do anything with disc golf was when you won your skins match. What was that
yeah,
like, and what was that whole like skins match like?
yeah. So that was wild. So the story goes back even a little bit before then. In 2021, so I my daughter went off to college. I'm trying to find my find myself again in 2014. Went back out, traveled, came back after a few years of traveling to see her off to college. Spent a few years back in Fort Collins with her. But after she took off to college, then I needed to do something with my life. I'm 50 years old. I got to go do something. So I packed up a car, took off to travel, and just basically travel around the country playing disc golf. And in 2021, I made the decision that I was going to go back on the pro tour, the disc golf pro tour in 2022, which was pretty stupid because I was 52 years old. But the 2 years prior to that, when I'm out traveling, I was playing MP40 and MP50. I'm 50 years old, but I would play down to play MP40 half the time. And in 2 years, I won 70% of the tournaments I played. And this is running classes during the week, Monday through Friday. I wasn't even practicing, and I was winning. And it just didn't. I couldn't even make myself practice for this. I wanted something hard to motivate me. So I decided I was going to go back on the pro tour in 2022. And it turned out, I'd say, be careful what you ask for. Like, I wanted it to be hard. It turned out that like everybody out there was pretty good. And I was pretty old. I'm over 50. So it was wild because I was working really hard. I trained for like almost a year to get back into tour shape and get my body in shape and get the throws in and actually train to compete. And I went out there and I was pretty mediocre, like middle of the pack. So it turns out that Philip Samuels, the owner of Eagles Crossing, he discovered the sport during COVID. And he just fell in love with disc golf. He didn't play, but he had a piece of property out in Missouri. And he decided he was going to build our sports Augusta. He was just going to build the most special disc golf course in the entire world. He already owned the land and the lakes. He already owned the property. And then he puts $1.5 million into it to take, and that's after owning the land. The land's already there. He puts $1.5 million into landscaping, excavating. Like, he built this masterpiece, and he wanted to run the biggest skins event in disc golf history. And for some reason, he wanted me to be a part of it. Like, it was me, and then it was like Simon Lizotte, Calvin Heimberg, like it was like, and me. So he invited me to come out to be part of the biggest skins match, and I'm just, like, I was just trying. Honestly, like, it was just how, like, I just don't want to embarrass myself. Like, this is, like, I get this opportunity that should have gone to all these people more qualified than me, and a lot of anxiety that I was going to fail and everybody was going to watch. And so, what happened was that at the time, for the previous 3 years, 3 years maybe, no, 2 years, whatever it was, for the last, I think it was 2 years, whatever. I decided that I was not going to play for prize money. What I would do is, before every single tournament, I would name a special needs organization, give the name of the organization to the tournament director, and that they would donate whatever prize money I won to the special needs organization. And when I was playing the Masters tournaments, I might win like $500 or $700, but that's a decent amount of money to go to like a local school or rec center or whatever it was. So I told them, I said, at the time there was going to be, I forget what it was. There was going to be like $5,000 in skins or something. And I said, I told Dave McCormick, I said, I'll play, but you're going to donate all my skins money to the special needs organization. He's like, yep, I understand. Got it. So then Dave came up with this idea. He says, we're going to do this thing where people could bet on who they think's going to win. And a portion of that money is going to go into a winner take all pool. And whoever wins the most skins is going to get all the money, like $9,000 or $10,000. And I told Dave, I said, okay, Dave, well, we're going to donate to, I want you to, if I win, come on, like I'm not going to win. If I win, I want that donated to the special needs organization. And Dave, who's been friends of mine for like 30 years, who's known me to be extremely poor. Like I'm making my money running clinics and teaching private lessons on the road. It's not like I don't have a trust fund or nothing. I was pretty poor when I was doing this. Dave was like, Scott, no, promise me, if you win, you're going to keep the big bonus money. And I'm like, fine. Okay. If I happen to get the most skins, I'll keep the big, but I'm still giving away all the individual skins money. It's like, fine deal. And then so I played really well, apparently. And I ended up taking home the most skins. And so, yeah, and then I got to keep the money because I had already promised Dave that I'd keep it. But I still donated like $5,000 or something to it was Hope for Autism in Farmington, Missouri.
That's really cool. So, what was it like throwing that final shot where when you had to get on your knee and throw that forehand, where everyone's like, "There's no possible way."
Well, no, there was no possible way. It was an impossible shot. It was. Okay, then if you haven't seen the video, you can just search for Scott Stokley skins and actually watch the clip if you're watching this. But the way that I'll set the stage was that, skins carries over. So I had already won like 2 skins. I already won like $1,200 or something that I was going to donate. So I didn't get skunked, my biggest fear. But on it was like after hole 5 or 6 or something like that, we started pushing, we started tying. And every time you tie, the skins carries over to the next hole. And so we get to hole 14 or 15. I should probably know this, but we get to hole 14 or 15, and there was like 8 skins, like $4,000 or $5,000 in skins. There was like $5,000 worth of skins on that hole. But the way the math worked out is whoever won the next hole was also gonna, because of those 8 or 9 skins, now could not be caught for the bonus money. So in other words, if whoever wins the next skin is also gonna win like it was like $9,000 in bonus money. It's like $5,000 in skins, $9,000 in bonus money, I think. It was $14,000. And so it was a par 4 that had never been.
Oh, we lost you.
Okay, gotcha. We're back.
Okay.
It was a par 4 that had never been birdied in tournament play. Brody and Calvin threw out of bounds on their drives. Simon, Lazard, and I were the only ones to throw inbounds. Simon had a very difficult shot. Oh,
there we go.
So Simon had a difficult shot to get to the hole, but it was possible. It was a really hard par 4, even with a good drive. I had a perfect drive to get a par, not for birdie, because I was right in the middle of the fairway, but you had to arc all the way around this incredibly thick set of, the basket's like 375 feet away on a straight line through the trees. And there's no way to get through the trees. Like it's just the trees are 4 feet apart. It's just, it might as well be out of bounds. You have to throw around the trees, pitch up, take your par. And I got to my lie and I looked around and I saw a 4-foot gap in the trees for 375 feet to the hole. And what's funny is we were mic'd up. I didn't even think about this, but we're mic'd up. So when you watch the skins match, like, I'm talking to myself and I'm like, oh, there's nothing there. And then I walk over, I go, oh my God, I see it. I got all excited because I saw this like 4-foot wide gap. So I'm going through the trees. Now, if I don't hit the gap, which is like a 1 in a million shot, like I'm taking like a double bogey and Simon's going to win all the skins, right? So like it's do or die. But I was going for it. And so I got to my lie, I leaned out. And when I leaned out, I realized because of the way it was set up, I couldn't throw a normal shot. The only way I was going to be able to get the line to the hole is I was going to have to throw from my knee. So now I'm 375 feet out, and I got to throw a sidearm from my knee, which from my knee, I can throw about 370 feet sidearm. That's about my max distance. I throw sidearms really far. So I drop to my knee, I line up the shot, and then I realize I still can't really get the shot I need. The only way I was going to get to the shot was I was going to have to start falling forward, and right before my head hit the ground, I was going to have to throw and then immediately face plant into the ground on the throw. So I actually had to like basically lay it out when I threw. And so then I was falling to the ground, and right before my head hit the ground, I threw a 375-foot sidearm. But between me letting go of the disc and my face hitting the ground, I knew I had it because we know our games. I let go and I went, oh shit, I got it. And I hit the ground and I looked up and I just watched it, and it was dead center through the trees and landed 15 feet from the hole.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was wild. Now the funny, if we're gonna just like to add to the story, was that at the awards ceremony, I got choked up and started crying. And it was weird, right? Like it's first off, it's not like a pro tour event. It's not the world championships. It's just a side skins game. Like, well, why am I crying? Like, why am I so emotional? It's not about winning all the money, because I mean, big chunk of the money I was donating. But here's the thing. I had all of my best years competitively was in the 90s. Like that's when I was setting world records. There's so many shots that the old timers remember that nobody in the world could do but me. Because back in the 90s, nobody was throwing sidearm. There were 0 players throwing sidearm off a tee pad at major tournaments back in the 90s. I was the only one. I also threw backhands about 100 feet farther than everybody else out there. So I had all these incredible, spectacular, amazing shots that I've always thought are just going to be lost to history. Like nobody's going to ever, like no one's going to know what I was able to do, because by the time everybody had cameras and cell phones out there, I wasn't playing anymore. So I've been haunted by this idea that I did something that I felt was very special, that I wanted people to remember me by, and that they weren't gonna see it. No one's gonna get to see what I could do. And so when I threw that skins shot, I was falling down, I hit it, I turned around, and the first thing I saw was like 50 people with their cameras, and I saw GK Pro, and my very first thought was, oh my God, one of my shots, one of the things that I can do is going to be part of our sports history forever. Yeah. And even though it's just one shot, it's like, that's a highlight reel shot that's going to make, it's going to be there. So at the awards ceremony, I got choked up because it was really like it's, okay, I'm going to forgive me for being overly deep here, but like as we get older and we face our own mortality, it's like, how am I going to be remembered? What's my legacy? And I never had one of my throws as part of my legacy. And then when I realized that I did, I was like, I just felt so relieved. I didn't think I was ever going to get that opportunity to show people what I could do. It was a big deal, even though it was just a skins match. It was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And it was because of that throw. That's what got me into figuring out I could throw sidearm. Like, this is phenomenal. And I'm a forehand dominant player now. So,
well, don't be dominant. You want to be 50-50.
Oh, well, I'm starting to become more 50-50 because I finally learned backhand, but it's still got a long way to go. But
you got to do both. It's not about backhand and sidearm. It's about spinning the disc clockwise or counterclockwise. Every hole has a favorable throw. Yeah. So you want to throw both. I'm going to lecture you. I'm old.
That's good because I got a lot to learn. So. So what is like one tip that you could give to help people just in general to help take their game to the next level?
Oh, God, you want me to say something that's going to make people hate me?
You just
watch my videos.
There we go.
So here's why I say this. It's not that everybody that teaches disc golf does it wrong. Obviously, it's not that there's not smart people out there. I've done more teaching than anybody, but I've also done more private lessons. I've done more seminars working with people. I've done more actually working with individuals, getting them to throw correctly than anybody in the world. Because of this, not because I have the sidearm and backhand disc instructors, not because of this, not because of that, but it's because what I've learned working with people one-on-one is when I say these words, these are the results we're going to get. When I see these other words, I don't get the results I'm looking for. So what I've learned is through trial and error, just a natural from experience, how to teach how to do things correctly. And my teaching, I call it the Stokley disc golf method. It's not a different method of throwing. We all agree on the right way to throw. It's the method of teaching. But the method that I teach is the method. When I say do something, it's because I have told 1,000 people to do that and it's worked 1,000 times. So what a lot of people do, a lot of very smart people, a lot of people that study game film, they study the pro tour, they look at what the pros do on a throw or what they see happen on a throw and they say, here's how you replicate these things. Bend your knee, transfer your weight, brace, engage your hips, pull through the power pocket as you transfer your weight and distribute the energy to the floor. You know what I just did right there? I didn't tell you one damn word about how to actually throw correctly.
Yeah.
Don't try to do all those things. Bend the knee, transfer your weight, brace, rotate the foot. Like, okay, and you know what happens? You don't throw well.
No.
What I do is I show you the actual process. If you do this action before you do that action, and if you think about it this way, you get the results. So I'm not arrogant that I'm not smarter than other people. I'm not suggesting that people are wrong or anything like that. What I'm saying is if you follow the way I teach on my tutorial videos, it will end with you throwing correctly. I don't teach the end result. I teach the process to get there. If you do this thing, it will end with you throwing correctly. That's what it's saying. So it sounds arrogant to say, watch my videos, but my videos, I don't teach anything that when I say that to a bunch of people, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds horribly arrogant. I don't know how to say it any other way, but I believe in what I teach. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Next time you're in like the Buffalo area, I'll definitely have to link up with you for a day or something because I have the most unique throwing forms humanly possible, and it definitely needs a lot of work to get more power out of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, hey, there's rules to follow. There's two things that are happening simultaneously. There's the rules of physics and there's individual bodies. Rules of physics are written in stone. You cannot violate the rules of physics. There are fixed rules you must do to throw correctly. Every person on earth, because it's physics. But there's not that many of those rules. Once you follow those rules, then every other part of the throw is based on your individual body. Okay, we're all different sizes, shapes, our joints align at different angles, we have different length limbs, our weight is distributed in different areas, like we have different range of motion within our joints, then we have past injuries and scar tissue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are many things that cannot be universal because everybody's body is different. But that doesn't mean you can throw any way you want to because the rules of physics are in stone. So we start with the rules of physics, you do these certain things, and then you figure out how your individual body moves between those actions in order to allow your body to move the way it needs to move. But you're still hitting the points along the way that you have to hit.
Yes.
That's the overall arcing philosophy in what I teach.
Yes. And another thing that you teach pretty well is serving the pizza. You can't do that in the forehand. Can you speak on that?
I've made more money off the serving the pizza videos. So I'll explain. I'll even move the camera back a little bit so you can see it. So first I'm going to say that. So I was making my money and I have been making my money teaching more than anything else. I run Stokley discs. I'm manufacturing golf discs. Eventually, that's where I'm going to make my gajillions of dollars is my plan. As of right now, I still make most of my money teaching and running events. But I always kind of in a joking way have been torn when like whenever I hear bad throwing advice on the internet, especially if it becomes popular, like a popular trend to like teach this certain thing, I always kind of like, me and my girlfriend laugh. I'm like, I go, I'm going to make so much money off this because they're going to show everybody how to do stuff wrong. And then they got to pay me to fix it. And, like, I'm not wishing that anybody throws wrong, but that's kind of the reality, right? When people are throwing wrong, I'll show you how to throw right, but that you pay for it. And so one of the things I first saw was someone did a video where they were talking about you want to keep your palm up and throw this direction. You want to serve the pizza. Okay, that's completely false. 100,000,000%. That is incorrect throwing technique. When your palm is up, you have almost no range of motion going side to side. You have tremendous range of motion this way. This is the way your wrist wants to move. It barely moves at all this way. Not only that, if you were to measure it, you have almost no strength moving your hand side to side like this, because that's not how your arm is moving efficiently. You're pretty darn strong taking your hand here and moving it to here. This is how you throw everything. This is how you throw nothing. And I'll even give you one more illustration of this. Imagine if you were throwing a baseball sidearm, right, with two fingers behind the baseball. You would put the fingers behind the baseball and you would use the fingers and you push the baseball with your fingers with this hinge. Now imagine you were throwing a baseball, two fingers behind the ball, but you put backspin on the ball like this when you threw. Like, obviously, like, you probably couldn't even throw the ball to left field to home plate doing this, because that's not the way the wrist moves. Okay, so 100% incorrect to serve the pizza thing. So I saw the first serve the pizza video. I kind of chuckled at it. Oh, this is funny. Then I saw another one. Then I saw another one. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much money off this. We started laughing about it. Problem is, I started seeing more and more serve the pizza videos popping up. And it got to the point where I would be like screaming at my phone and be like, stop telling people that. You're going to screw everybody. I was getting so angry at these, not the people making them, but I was getting so annoyed at this advice. Finally, I said, I can't do this. I gotta fix this. So I made a video, the first video I made, called Don't Serve the Pizza. And I was like, I'm gonna lose so much money off this. And I posted the video, and there's hundreds and hundreds of comments on it. The very first comment was like, hey, first throw 50 feet further, thanks. Next comment was like, oh, took me 5 minutes, but I'm throwing 80 feet farther and my arm doesn't hurt, thanks. Bing, bing, bing. That's what all the, because this is right, that's wrong. And I remember looking up at my girlfriend. I'm like, I probably lost $30,000 today. Like, I probably did. But I couldn't take it. It's so bad. It's just mechanics. Everything is mechanical. I mean, our body moves a certain way. It doesn't move a certain way. We have muscles on certain sides of a bone, not the other side, and our tendons attach to different areas. And these are just hinges. And when you flex this muscle, this hinge moves. And like, there's things that are not debatable. There are, and they're all, look, we're still learning in our sport. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like, there are things that are up for debate still. Okay, that's fine. But there are things that are not debatable, and this is one of them. And it cost me $30,000 to tell everybody. But I've had more people, hey, maybe I actually made money because then people, I build credibility. And last I heard too, I last few seminars I did, I talked about the serve the pizza, and they're like, yeah, they're not making those videos anymore. I'm like, good.
But I'm still seeing tons of people trying to throw sidearm serving pizza, and I'm always, don't do that. Throw it like a ball. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like,
No.
This is nothing. Like, you're not going anything with this.
Yeah, put backspin on a baseball. And by the way, okay, so as I think in terms scientifically, so one person can be an outlier, one person isn't really evidence. But here's the reality. 2 years ago, at 54 years old, I set the Tech Disc sidearm speed record at a Pro Tour event. So at 54 years old, I'm still throwing sidearms farther than any person on the Pro Tour. I'm 54. Now, technically a sample size of one, but for that to be that much of an outlier, I threw 86.2 miles an hour. And consistently throughout the season, I was hitting 81, 82. Correctly.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing I'm going to add to this, though. This is where, because when people misunderstand things, there's a reason why they misunderstand it. It's not because people are stupid. It's not because people are even ignorant. A lot of times, there's logical fallacies, or there's things we can do that actually cause us to not come to the correct conclusions. For example, a player could be out on the pro tour throwing like this, serving the pizza, and that player might throw 400 feet. And so the conclusion would be, well, that person's really, really good, and they're throwing 400 feet. Okay, the answer is yes, that is really, really good. 400 feet is really far. What you're not doing, though, is you're not comparing that person to a parallel universe where that exact same person isn't doing that and is throwing 500 feet. So you can't compare those two. There are players that don't reach all the way back. They reach partially back and they're still throwing like 475, 500 feet, 520 feet. That's really far, but you're not seeing the parallel universe where if they reached all the way back, they're throwing 600. So it's easy to draw these conclusions because you're seeing the correlation between that player is very good and they do that thing. Doesn't make it correct. It just means that they've gotten really good at doing this thing. They're probably pretty darn accurate with it. You don't always need the extra distance. Doesn't make it right. I get all lectury when I talk about teaching, by the way. This is my thing.
Man, if I ever seen anything further than 350 feet, I would be so pumped. I've yet to break that mark.
Don't serve the pizza. What are you thinking?
Yeah, both forehand, both sidearm and backhand, I can't break 350. So.
Okay, well, you can. You just aren't doing it yet.
Yeah, like I said, got a long way to go yet. So, what made you start Stokley Discs, and like what do you have available as far as discs go?
I started Stokley Discs because I want to make millions and millions of dollars, and so all the owners of all the other companies will have to come crawling on their knees to work for me someday. Does that sound like a good story? No, I mean, look, it's the dream come true. It's the opportunity of a lifetime to get to participate in the sport at this level, because with me and a partner, Stokley Discs are not third-party manufacturers. Nobody's making the discs for us. We actually own the machines. All of the molds are original. We own the warehouse. We own the facility. We do have help within the industry with disc design and the molding procedure, because there's a lot of art as opposed to science involved in those things. So we certainly have help from smart people, but it's our company, and the opportunity to be in that position to actually own a disc manufacturing company is huge. My motivation for doing it is probably very strange. At least it's unusual. So I told you I still do. I give away my prize money to different special needs organizations or to disc golf in developing countries. I've sent my money to different organizations in different countries. I kind of live by a philosophy for me where after I pay for the things I need to live, I kind of like to give away the rest. It's very weird. I'm a financial planner's absolute worst nightmare. I just don't care. Now, this is not like altruism. I don't take food off my own plate or sacrifice anything in my life to do this. I first lead the exact life I want to live, give myself and my girlfriend everything we want. So I'm not a monk living in poverty. Like, I do pretty well. But what I don't need, I give away. There's three things that I care about. I care about special needs. I'm introducing disc golf to people with special needs, developmental and physical disabilities. I care about that. I've gone to 290 cities, different cities, to teach disc golf to people with disabilities. These are all free. Like this, I make the money here so I can do these things for free. That's very important to me. The second thing is I care very dearly about helping to grow disc golf in developing countries. I've done everything I've could when I've been able to. I've gone to Vietnam, I've been to Cambodia, and also Indonesia trying to get courses put in. So I care about that. And the third thing I care about is there are some flying disc sports that are kind of hanging on by a thread. Biggest ones are guts, freestyle, and double disc court. And I want to help keep these sports afloat. So the one thing that all three of these things have in common is they all take a hell of a lot more money than I have today. So my thought was, because like I honestly, I make enough money teaching disc golf to lead a pretty easy life, just traveling, playing frisbee. Like I don't need to be running Stokley discs. Like it's a lot of work. But if I can make my company successful, the more successful it is, the more money I can allocate into these projects that I care about. Like the thing I can tell you, there's very few guarantees I could give you in my life. One of them is I will not die with money in the bank. Like that is just not going to happen. I'm going to spend every last cent I have on these things that are bigger than me that I care about. And so I need to make gajillions of dollars so I can spend gajillions of dollars on these things that I want to do. So that's basically my motivation. Maybe there's a fourth motivation, which is passive income as I get older, having something that makes money so I can live when I'm too old to do what I do. That, but honestly, that's so far off. I'm pretty sure AI is going to kill us before then anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So I'm more concerned with things in the next number of years.
Yeah.
So I'll figure out when I turn 70. I'll figure out what to do when I'm 70. I'm not that worried about it. It might be nice, but if I can always travel around teaching frisbee classes. I'll never be too old for that.
So what discs do you have available currently?
So Stokley Discs has 7 discs. We have the putters, which is the beadless red and the beaded finch. We have the owl, which is an overstable approach disc, kind of like halfway between a zone and a zone OS. We have the cardinal, which is kind of like a buzz OS. I'm giving disc names of discs that they're similar to. It's an overstable mid-range, phenomenal. We have the lark, which is like a leopard 3, and the robin, which is like a T-bird. Basically like a stable to slightly overstable robin, stable to slightly understable lark. Then we have a high-speed driver called the peregrine, which is like a force or a halo destroyer. So an overstable, very good overstable high-speed driver. There was a company around since 2004. Well, the first original mold came out in 2004, but a company called Ching Discs. We purchased Ching Discs as well. So Ching had 8 original molds. They were originally made they were being manufactured in China. The first thing we did when we bought the company is we shipped the molds from China back to America so we can manufacture them here. So all the Ching discs are made in America, even though on the engraving it says made in China because it's the original molds. But they are not made in China. They are made here in America. So we also own Ching. So it's going to work. We're going to be wildly successful someday. It's just we are entering a very competitive market with a bunch of companies doing a really good job. I've made the joke before. There's 4 big companies that dominate the market, and my biggest problem with these companies is that they're really good at making golf discs. If they made crappy discs with lousy plastic and ugly artwork, like I would just make better discs and just crush them. Like that would be so easy. Not the case. They're actually, well, first off, these are all companies. They're all run by friends of mine. they're all run by people I have lunch with when I'm in town, or most of them anyways, who I respect a lot. But they're doing a good job. So I'm trying to enter into this market that is not just opening the door for me by doing a bad job. They do a great job. So it's very challenging. I can tell you this, if you go to StokleyDiscs.com and you get behind this and you start buying and throwing my discs, you will be part of a smaller company trying to live out the American dream, but also one that has a vision to do some really cool stuff in disc sports. Like my promise to you is I will not be Scrooge McDuck. I just dated myself there. I will not be sitting on a pile of gold in a cave somewhere like Smog. No, um, I want people to get behind it. If you get behind it, you'll be glad you did. And final thing, if I could pitch it then, if you go to scottstokley.net/Discord is where we're trying to build the inner circle. You can get information there. But I'm trying to bring people in to be part of this inner kind of like, well, it's an inner circle, right? You're going to have access to me, and I'm going to let you see things first and hear about things, and you get to be part of something really cool.
That's really cool.
Unless you don't like me. If you don't like me, you don't want to be a part of it.
I don't know who wouldn't like you, honestly.
This is oh no. Have you met any of my exes? Yeah, the more I've learned something. One of my lessons in life is that the more likable you are, the more trouble you get into when you break up with someone. The more it goes badly. Hey, by the way, Thor just messaged. I kid you not, I got an alert on my phone from the almighty Thor. The person who played the almighty Thor in the movie The Almighty Thor just messaged me while we're talking. A friend of mine, I just messaged me while I was talking to you. He's like, message me when you're back in town. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna call you the second I get off the phone because you're Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah. How wild is that? My life is so weird. I got the weirdest life. I'm literally doing a podcast and Thor messages me. By the way, if you search for Scott Stokley Thor, you can actually see the last time we did an interview with him. Sweetest guy you've ever. I mean, just one of the nicest, most humble people you ever met. Even though when he walks down the street, you're like, Jesus Christ, that guy's Thor. Yeah. Like if I was 10% as handsome and as good looking and built as this guy, like I would be a movie star because he's Thor. And you'd think he would think he would be an ass because like nobody that looks like that should be that nice. And he's the sweetest guy I've ever met. Probably. He's just, yeah. Anyways, Thor message. That was my point.
That's really cool.
It's really wild. It's really weird.
As we're wrapping this up, you got any questions for me?
Any questions for you? Oh God. Does DSP stand for Despot of Atrium?
No.
Okay. Does it stand for disposable?
Nope.
Despicable?
Nope. Just Disc Seeker Podcast.
Oh, okay. Disc Seeker. Well, I gotta be careful how I say that. Disc Seeker Podcast. No, I don't have any questions for you. Or I got a question for you. Did you know we'd be talking about Thor?
No.
Who would have thought?
No idea. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to do a podcast with me. I'm like, if I could do a podcast with Thor, like how epic would that be to do like the Frisbee golfer and Thor?
That'd be awesome.
Like pretty much it's like if you were to I just thought of something really funny. Is that if you were to do like a big giant internet poll of women, like, and you said, if you saw this fact about a guy on Tinder, what is the most or least likely thing?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah. If you saw this fact about a man on Tinder, like what is the least likely thing to make you want to date him and the most likely? And I think being a disc golfer might be down pretty low, but I think being Thor would be number one. So
yeah.
All right. Anyways, that's all.
All right. Final question I got for you is where can people find you and support you?
Yeah, so first off, go to StokleyDiscs.com, give my discs a try. You're going to absolutely love them. Don't buy them because I'm a nice guy. Don't buy them because you want to support what we're doing. First and foremost, buy them because they fly well and you're going to score well with them. The second reason to buy them is because the more you support this company, all my tutorial videos are free, and I do a whole bunch of historical videos. I do a bunch of stuff. The more my company grows, the more I can do the cool stuff. As far as where to find me, aside from the scottstokley.net/Discord, I would say I'm impossible to miss. I put out a lot of content. If you go on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. You can catch me on LinkedIn. I don't know. I'm everywhere, so you can't miss me.
Cool. All right. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you so much.
Have a good night.
All right, thanks, man. See ya.